And we're going to ask certain direct questions of the Americans. And I'm going to first begin with author Spencer Critchley. We've, of course, spoken earlier, Mr. Critchley, under different circumstances. You're a journalist from California, so you know the innards of this problem. You also, of course, have lived in a very liberal state, but I don't see this as very liberal. Nonetheless, I'm going to get off my soapbox, and I'll leave it to you to respond. Can America tonight really look itself in the mirror and say it's a functional democracy and that it can actually tell others where to get off on that subject?
Let's draw a clear distinction between America and Donald Trump. The whole problem here is that Donald Trump is attacking American democracy. And with respect, you're not doing Prime Minister Modi any favors by justifying his behavior by using Donald Trump as an example. Donald Trump is an authoritarian who exploits ethnic nationalist fear and resentment in order to seize power. And I don't think you want to make that comparison with Prime Minister Modi. That's a pretty uncomfortable comparison to make.
You're the only one making that comparison, Mr. Critchley. Let's not be too clever by half. You're the only one making that comparison. I didn't. I even said I'm not indulging in whataboutery.
Yeah, you said that after indulging
yes,
all of
please
this.
take my words. No, don't misquote me.
I invite you to play back.
No, hang on.
I'm
just
sorry, please don't. I'm sorry.
1 second, Mr. Critchley.
I'm willing to have a discussion.
You made an accusation.
I'm not
just
willing
putting
to be
my point
spoken
across
over.
And I'll let you continue.
If you want to try to speak over me, I can talk longer than you can. I guarantee it.
If you're here just to...
I invite you.
Hang on. If
I
you're just
invite you
here
to watch the tape that you just broadcast.
Just a minute,
no,
sir.
I'm sorry. I will not be spoken over. I will have a discussion.
No, I'm sorry. You can't make an accusation and run roughshod over somebody who's protesting.
You can respond to what you call my accusation with facts and evidence, not by talking over me. I invite you to roll back the intro that you just gave us.
Yes.
The problem is not American values. The problem is Donald Trump's attack on those American values.
I disagree with you. And I'll tell you why, if you allow me. If you allow me, that is.
I will allow you now that I'm finished talking. Please go ahead.
Okay. Now, this is what I've written a few days back. The sword arm of the hard left has drawn an arc of incendiary violence across Los Angeles, California.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Well, who are these people then who've hit the streets, who can't contain themselves, who are provoking the state of America? Who are these people who are burning people's cars?
Do you want an answer to that?
Yeah, tell me.
That's a minority of criminals and self-styled anarchists who love to show up at events like this, especially if you provoke them. If you actually look beyond the inflammatory images carefully cherry-picked to show it, making it look as if Los Angeles is burning, as you said, which is not true, you will see that by far the majority of the protesters have been nonviolent. The ones who are committing violence are sabotaging the cause they claim to stand for. And as the mayor of Los Angeles, all the local authorities up to the governor of California have said repeatedly, anybody who breaks the law, especially if they commit violence, including especially violence against law enforcement officers, are going to be prosecuted, and they are being prosecuted. Hundreds have been arrested already, but those hundreds are a small number of the many, many thousands who have come out to protest peacefully, to stand up for America's values, which are the values of democracy, not the values of authoritarianism, which exploits ethnic nationalist hatred.
Mr. Critchley is being very selective, viewers. He describes this as a very small minority. It's exactly that very small minority that came out onto the streets of India, viewers, not once, not twice, but 3 times in quick succession over 3 different issues, and did exactly what these anarchists are doing. And let me tell you, viewers, we saw anarchy in America a few years ago when Trump lost an election. At that time, another bunch of misconceived individuals overran the Senate. And we were told the entire MAGA movement was actually hooligans. The entire MAGA movement. So they painted the entire movement in one color. I'm not a supporter of the MAGA movement. I don't support any of the... Excuse me. Let me finish, sir. I haven't finished. I haven't asked you a question. I'm making a statement. We're not getting into a...
You're making an untrue statement.
Well, that was what was said. That they're all insurrectionists. They're all off their heads. Well, see, now, viewers, this is what I'm saying. When you talk in rhetorical terms, this is where the problem is. You can generalize pretty much anything. And that's what I was trying to bring out here. But anyway, I'm not going to dominate this. We've heard Mr. Critchley. He's saying that, look, you can't at any level melt the boundaries between the remit of Trump's office and the American people and the American state in general. That's what he's saying. Let's not blur the boundaries, he's saying. Does that hold true? Let me open this up.
Between Trump, the person, and the American state.
Okay.
And Trump helped to organize the January 6th attacks on the Capitol. He clearly cares nothing.
Well, we don't know who's organizing this sort of, I'm sorry to say, leftist intifada. But anyhow, let me just bring it. Let me just bring it.
I'm sorry.
Look, let's allow me the use of colorful adjectives like I've allowed you. That's what I was saying. Two rhetoricians.
Stick to facts.
I'm sticking to facts. You yourself said that these people are a small minority of people who don't care about American law. I don't know what else to call them. Anyhow, so I don't know. You want me to call them insurrectionists? We'll call them insurrectionists. I won't call them people.
I did not. They are not insurrectionists.
Okay, they're not insurrectionists. Then what are they? They're criminals. Loosely used terms, viewers. And he'll say with long history sheets, if that is the case, then why aren't they outside of America? Why aren't they being thrown out of the country if they are history sheeters and they're also illegals? I would think that would be...
The people who are being arrested are honest, hard-working people.
Right, that's what you claim.
At their place
that's what you claim. Your own president claims...
No, this is...
No, hang on. Your own president claims they are... No, hang on. They have long history sheets and they need to be kicked out.
If people actually look up the facts, they would see that the Trump administration has a really unsuccessful record of arresting criminals who are here illegally. The great majority of the people they're arresting and deporting have no criminal record.
In any case, viewers, when you elect a felon, what more can be said about the American people?
Well, I agree with you there.
There you go.
I agree with you there.
I mean, let's, as I said, I mean, come on. If you're going to elect a felon, viewers, that says very little, in my mind, about the way the Americans take their own democracy. Let's go out to Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan, we've had it with America, giving the whole world a lecture. And I don't want to make that distinction between Trump that is so artfully being made here in the American state. Just flip the coin. Go 4 years back or 3 years back, and Biden was saying pretty much the same thing. And under him, too, there was a lot of violence. Let's be honest.
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to my fellow panelists. I hope you give me a fraction of the time that you've given to the previous panelists. I think you gave him 7.5 minutes, which according to me, going by his rants, was 7.5 minutes too many. 3 points I'd like to make here. Number one, America has been traditionally, and more so now, is living in a glass house. The only difference is now the world is pointing that out to the Americans. Because of social media, because of much more independence of views to and fro going across continents. This wasn't the case 30, 40, 50 years ago. Now, the fact of the matter is that the previous panel very nicely and conveniently dissociated the president, almost saying, not my president, dissociating the problems in America right now with the problems that America have originated in America, offloading it to Donald Trump. The fact of the matter is it's not the case. Demography is destiny. 10% of California's current population is made up of illegal immigrants. A third of California's current population is migrants. The fact of the matter is that California is being run over by illegal immigrants, and if any president wants to take a step to either ebb that or to correct that situation, he is immediately branded as a bigot and a racist or a fascist or whatnot. The fact is that President Bill Clinton, who was a Democrat, acted more decisively against illegal immigration than Trump. This is a fact that is borne out by concrete evidence. And America still continues to preach. There were American senators who were preaching us during the CAA protests, which, by the way, our Supreme Court branded as illegal because they stopped a main arterial road, inconveniencing millions of commuters for 6 months. That is not democracy. The right to protest is not right to prevent. And the fact of the matter is that American presidents have come over to India and made us listen quietly about human rights situation. I remember President Obama coming over in 2015, I think it was, and he was preaching to us, waxing eloquent about how minorities' rights have to be respected in India. When in 2012, just 1 year of Obama presidency, there were 207,000 violent hate crime attacks on blacks alone. This is that same America that says Osama bin Laden was a freedom fighter when it was fighting on America's side against the Russians in Afghanistan. Then he was fighting for freedom, but then suddenly becomes a terrorist. So let's not go by what America and Americans think. We know that their credibility is only thing lower than their credibility is their intelligence. The fact is, for the first time, India is standing up to what is right for us. And this was absolutely evident during the start and after, in the wake of the Russia-Ukraine war, when the West, including America, was demanding and forcing us to stop buying Russian oil. And we said nothing of the sort. We will do what is in our interest. Because remember, even 9 weeks beyond the Russia-Ukraine war starting, America itself was buying the oil. India right now is processing oil that is being bought by Europe. So we are not going to be tied down or shackled by the duplicity and hypocrisy of Americans. We are going to do what is in our interest. If Americans still think that having kowtowing to illegal immigration in California is fine by them, let them think so. Let the previous panelists think so. Let the previous panelists have 10 illegal immigrants put up a tent inside his house. I don't give a toss. But as far as my country is concerned, I am going to act decisively what is in my country's interest.
Absolutely. Dr. Joseph M. Chalil is there, and I'll come back to Mr. Critchley to give him an opportunity to rebut the comments that have been made. Now, look, it's true that the Trump administration has not exactly been above reproach, Mr. Chalil.